Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered if airplanes will ever operate on anything besides conventional jet fuel? Well, hydrogen fuel could be the new aviation fuel and many companies are buying into it. Today I will be talking about the future of hydrogen fuel in aviation and also giving some background on hydrogen fuel. Hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table and also the most common element in our universe. The research I have done tells me that hydrogen becoming the new aviation fuel is not that far away. I will cover the technical and economical parts of hydrogen fuel, while also giving some information about the future technologies and plans that companies have with using hydrogen as their main fuel source. Compared to other fuels, liquid hydrogen fuel contains the highest amount of energy per mass. Hydrogen fuel is 4 times as flammable as regular jet fuel. This means that it can be burned at a slower rate and give more power when needed, compared to regular jet fuel. Due to specific needs in the aviation industry, hydrogen in liquid form will work best compared to gas and metal hydrogen. When hydrogen is in a gaseous state, it will take up too much space in the aircraft, and hydrogen in a metal state would be too heavy, which leaves us with liquid hydrogen. Hydrogen fuel is a complete zero carbon emission fuel and only emits hot air and water. In aviation, hydrogen fuel can be used in 2 different ways. The first is through a conventional combustion engine. Current airplane engines burn jet fuel, but those engines can be easily modified to burn hydrogen fuel. The second way to use hydrogen fuel is in using a hydrogen fuel cell. These fuel cells take the hydrogen fuel, separate the molecules, and create energy with the protons and electrons. The product of this process is electricity. The electricity created when the will provide the power needed to run an electric airplane engine. One of the current problems with hydrogen fuel is being able to store the fuel on board an aircraft. Hydrogen fuel has 4 times as much volume as regular fuel, which means it needs bigger space to be stored. This also is a big problem with current airport infrastructure. No airports have the ability to fuel hydrogen aircraft yet. It will take many, many years to make a global system that will work similarly to a roadmap for hydrogen airplanes to travel on. As many of you know, the aviation industry is accountable for producing almost 3% of the world's carbon emissions. That number dropped during the COVID-19 pandemic, but is starting to grow again and is expected to keep increasing in the future. Some of the early experiments using hydrogen include the Hindenburg airship. The Hindenburg was a blimp that was filled with hydrogen to give it the ability to fly. In 1937, the Hindenburg crashed into a docking tower and burned to the ground, which dampened the interest and research on hydrogen fuel for a while. Later on, in the 70s and 80s, there were successful attempts to fly passenger aircraft with hydrogen fuel, but it took all the space in the aircraft to store the fuel tanks. These attempts were not commercial flights, and they were used for testing purposes only. Currently, there are many companies who are experimenting and testing aircraft with hydrogen power. Most of the research is being done using small propeller and regional-sized jets. Some of bigger companies, such as Airbus, have started to do their own research and development using hydrogen. On the other hand, however, Boeing does not feel the urgent need to start research, and they are holding off until the infrastructure is in place and it becomes more of an option in the future. Hydrogen fuel has many advantages and disadvantages, but research has shown us that in the best option to fully carbon-free emission, hydrogen fuel is the answer. The companies that are researching and testing hydrogen fuel have made a lot of progress, and I am very excited to see what they continue to do. We don't know what the future has in store, but if the interest in hydrogen fuel continues to grow, it could be the future of aviation fuel as we know it today. Thank you for your time.